for tuning into Roll Call. The movie you selected is Pursuit of Happiness.
Hey everyone, welcome to Roll Call, the show where two childless millennials gush over movies and follow an actor's journey from their early years throughout their blockbuster hits.
Because, let's face it, we all know the thrill of he's a runner, he's a track star, running to the blockbuster to get there on time just before they close so you can get that movie.
Boy, oh boy, did this movie make my freaking legs hurt, and I wasn't even doing the running. This movie is brought to you in part by running.
Skechers, it's the S. No. What's up, everybody? Today is a special episode because we've got another guest, and we've got our friend Shaleena from Everything 90s with us, the Everything 90s podcast.
What's up? What's up?
Welcome. We're so excited. And if you haven't, please go check out her show. And we have an episode on her show along with Chasing Childhood. And we did a 90s versus 2000 versus. So
Yes.
awesome. And also keep in tabs. I'm sure you heard the ad for the Spice Girls trivia night.
Yes.
That
That was me.
So I'm sure she's going to be doing more awesome things like that. Have like a Destiny's Child one.
Ooh.
I was thinking
And-
that too. Yeah. Or R&B in general, like 90s.
Oh, count me in. Already signed up. But yeah. So what's up, everybody? I'm Bria, and this part of my life is called I don't know what I'm doing. So welcome to the show.
Oh man, I feel that. Hey everyone, I'm Simone. This movie made me super nostalgic for just spending a day around SF, hopping Muni trains, going on BART trains. This brought back some fun memories. So, and some like uncovered memories too, question mark. So I'm excited to get into it. What are we talking about today, Bria?
In today's episode, we'll chat about Will Smith and the 2006 drama Pursuit of Happiness. So, let's take a trip back to December of 2006.
All right. So my first little pop culture segment, I'm just going to talk about like general happenings in 2006. But since this movie came out in December, I thought I would do something different. And I pulled up like the most popular holiday like wish list toys of that year.
Oh, nice.
Rock band. Or
And then-
Guitar Hero.
Yeah, and there's a really cool article too from Cosmopolitan that talked about like what Christmas in 2006 was like. So I'm excited to get to that. But before we do, Facebook in 2006, Facebook officially became open to anybody over the age of 13, which slowly started to seal the deal for MySpace with the years later to come as Facebook began to gain popularity.
Bria's favorite
As the
problematic
website Twitter was launched in 2006.
I just joined the Twitter.
Oh my God. Don't judge me by
I'm
what
late.
I wind
I'm
up
super late.
tweeting. I have to follow you though. So.
Yeah, I've never had a Twitter. I leave that humbly to Bria, but I remember, I mean, at least in the early phases of Twitter, and I guess Facebook was like this too, just like here's a picture of this tuna salad that I ate for lunch. Twitter was like the same thing, but in word form, like eating a tuna salad for lunch. And I was just like, why?
It's still very much people's like random ass thoughts, and now it's probably a little more thought out, like in terms of trying to be funny and viral. But I remember tweeting from my lovely like chocolate or my razor, and tweeting via text. Like there's a number that you use to like attach to your account that you would like text your tweets to. So,
Ooh.
so what a struggle.
Man. In 2006, the top song was Irreplaceable by Beyonce, like overall top song.
And this is
Biggest
why you
hit.
need to listen to her, Shaleena.
Yes.
Some of the top movies of this year, not just movies in December, which I'll get into, but the top movies overall were Dreamgirls, Mission Impossible 3, The Da Vinci Code, and Happy Feet. The Some of the top comedians at the time were Jim Gaffigan, Dimitri Martin, and Dane Cook.
Dane Cook.
I know that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I had Dane Cook comedy albums on CD. I listened to that a lot, and then I was like on my iPod as well. I have it like it's probably still memorized.
I've
I fell
never
for it.
listened to like a comedy album. Wow.
Me neither. I've
Oh.
never done it.
Nice. Well, and speaking of albums, created in 2000, Blu-ray discs were made more available in 2006, and they can contain up to 5 times more information than a DVD. So this is like, I remember like in the mid early thousands having to convert my VHS collection to a DVD collection. And then when Blu-ray came out, I was like, oh my God, another thing. Because when they would re-release it on Blu-ray, and then it would have like more behind the scenes, more director's cut, more bloopers, whatever, like when like Titanic, when that was like re-released on Blu-ray, I was like, well, I gotta get it. So
Media's ever-changing forms. I feel like when media changes, I feel like if you already have a copy, they should allow you to just like trade it in or upgrade. Like I've already bought this once.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It's a good
Well,
idea.
I mean, definitely companies like Disney are going to be like, no, you're going to keep paying me money. And that's
out
like
of the vault.
out of the vault.
That fucking
We were
gimmick.
just talking, me and Kevin were just talking about that the other day. He's like, so what is it was like a figural, like a literal or a figurative vault that just like, they just would stop releasing it. I'm like, no, they would take every single thing off the shelf and then like cram it in this big metal vault in Disney HQ and like lock up the doors.
Snap.
Could you imagine? Well, and speaking of Disney, Bambi and Bambi 2 hold the record for the longest gap in between movie sequels, the first being released in 1942, and Bambi 2 Electric Boogaloo was released 64 years later in 2006.
1942?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That
Did
was
we
like
need a Bambi
early.
sequel?
Wow.
Bambi
Wow, I
2
didn't know
Finding
that
His Mom.
Oh,
I
snap.
thought she died.
I know, it's a joke.
Oh.
A bad joke is a bad joke. All right, well, so I'll end on this. Disney quietly cut ties with McDonald's in 2006 as to not be associated with childhood obesity. So the last kids meal
R.I.P.
toy.
the fry cart.
R.I.P. ye oldie fried cart, man. And so the last kids meal toys were from the Cars series that did come out in 06 and Pirates of the Caribbean 2 Dead Man's Chest.
Interesting.
Yes. So, in speaking of toys, The Pursuit of Happiness came out in December of 2006.
I thought you were going to say they had toys.
I know, me too. Me too. I'm like, wait.
It had a Burger
What?
King line.
Play therapist with your friends.
Oh, no.
Has a figure of Glide Memorial Church.
Oh my
A
god.
basketball and a Captain America figurine.
A little bone
Okay.
density.
Oh, both density scanner.
Which, okay, here's a side note. I was trying to look up I couldn't find how heavy those things were because I couldn't find like a vintage model of it. I could only see like newer models of portable bone density scans. But how heavy you think that thing was? Like at least 20 pounds, right?
Yeah, definitely,
definitely.
more.
It looked like carrying around like an old like a projector.
I thought it was a typewriter at first.
Oh,
when
yeah.
I first saw it, but yeah, it
Yeah.
had to be heavy.
Yeah, so seeing him like trying to like catch the bus, like, oh my God, his arm must have been so strong. So anyways, sorry, Burger King does not have a toy line for The Pursuit of Happiness, but this movie was released in the holidays in December. So here are some of the hot holiday toys of 2006. So you all will have to tell me smash or pass with these toys. The first one was the Nintendo Wii, came out in 2006. Smash or pass with Wii?
Pass.
Smash, I still have mine.
Yeah.
Wait,
And it still
smash
works.
smash means yes?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
oh, okay.
Pass means no. Pass.
Oh, okay. Smash.
Yes. Yeah. It still works.
Yeah,
Yes,
I was just
no.
playing it. Like, my arm was killing me afterwards, but
Ballin'.
well, because I thought I lost my Wii Sports disc for the longest time, so I was like, I don't really want to play Just
Was it
Dance
just
or anything
inside
anymore.
the machine?
No, it was in another CD thing,
Okay.
Oh,
but
no.
I didn't know it. It was terrible. But anyways, I was like, oh, it is here, and unlocked a bunch of memories. Also, I made me's of like everyone in my life at the time, including my teachers. Weirdo. But
That's cute.
That's high praise.
my grandparents are still there in me form. Like,
That's really sweet.
but anyways, yes, Smash.
Oh, okay. This toy's been around forever, it seems like, but there was another version of Tickle Me Elmo in 2006. It was the 10th anniversary, and his squeaky high laughs and body movements grow more pronounced with successive tickles. So are we smashing or passing?
Smash.
Smash.
He's an icon.
I owned one, not the new one, but the original one.
Yeah.
And I liked Elmo's World. He was my favorite Sesame Street character.
I'm passing. I think Leah got one at like because she's 3 years older than me, so she was probably like 19, 18, 19. Yeah, she was like 19 this time, so she might have went to like a friend's house for a silly white elephant gift exchange and had gotten this, and this thing would go off in the middle of the night, so I could hear it in her closet across the hallway. And I was just like, no.
But why was it going off in the middle of the night?
Demons is
it's
my
like Furbies.
Yeah.
Didn't Furbies like malfunction too? Like...
Oh, my Furbies, yes. Like, what do you want? He called Baba. Whatever the Furby. That sounds like Jabba the Hutt, but I don't know. Yeehaw! Okay. All right. Next toy, a robot assembled from new Lego Mindstorms NXT kits was released. It was like, it looked kind of like, I'm going to share my screen actually, in case you'd like to see. This is what he looked like. Does this come to mind?
I can't remember that.
Not really.
Okay.
Is this 2006?
It is 2006.
Oh.
I don't know what he did, but it was a high-tech robot.
It was all about getting kids ready for the future.
Yeah,
Like,
getting kids ready in
STEM.
that STEM, that tech.
Yeah. I loved Legos. I have a few Lego sets myself as an adult. But as a kid, I loved Legos and Connects. Like, I loved playing with my
Connects,
cousins, my boy cousins. They had like a shit ton, and I always wanted them. And then when I asked for Legos, I just got like the big giant ass ones you play with like at the doctor's office. I was like, this is not what I meant. I want to build spaceships and cars and shit. Like, so I probably would have like wanted this. Like, oh, like I could build a robot. So like,
Yeah. No, this
it looks really outdated now. Though.
Yeah, it does. It looks kind of like a Star Tours robot.
Yeah,
Yeah, a little bit.
it does.
All right, this next one, Model Leah Silver plays with the Speed Stack Pack. Say that 10 times fast. The Toy Wishes Holiday preview in New York. Toy Wishes magazine selected Speed Stacks from Play Along as one of the 12 hottest toys on the market. The game challenges kids to stack and restack cups in precise formations.
I remember seeing a kid do this on Disney Channel, and then I feel like that's when it
Yeah,
took off. It's still like a thing that kids do.
Yes.
it is. Yeah.
When I was a child and youth care worker, this was very popular.
Mhm.
And it was, I only learned about these recently, like seeing
Oh,
that it was
really?
around since 2006. I'm like, oh, where was I? Yeah.
My thing is, like, it's very interesting to me that you get to basically sell something that everybody already has, but for the
Yeah.
purpose of, like, speed stacking them. Like,
Maybe, and I was thinking that too. I was like, that's why I'm passing, because why would I spend probably, I don't know, whatever, $15, let's say, on a pack of 12 cups that I already have in my house. But it's probably like, it's the regulation of it. They're all of similar size and whatever.
They're lighter, makes you go faster. Yeah, all that, all that stuff.
I mean, look at the technology on them, with the different size of the rim and the bottom and stuff.
And the hole.
Exciting. Another popular thing from 2006 was the Digi Makeover. This is it's kind of like a pre-filter where you would put your face into it. See these big long cords that go into the TV, the yellow and the white cord. So it would plug into the device into your TV. You would take a picture of yourself, and then you could change your looks. You could put makeup on, you can change the color of your hair.
So the beginning of many of our body dysmorphia.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who approved of this?
Men, probably. They're like, we hate little children.
What little girls need?
To hate themselves.
Free plastic surgery.
Oh my God. Well, Monopoly was here to stay in 2006 as well. America has voted Monopoly here and now.
Did they change anything?
Don't know. They property on the board include. Oh, they had Times Square, Rodeo Drive. It looked like it's more like Las Vegas. Yeah, it's not just set in one area. It's all around the world.
Cool. Well,
nice.
Monopoly's fun.
Monopoly's fun for a minute. And then you lose your money, and then
it's too close to life, to be honest.
It's too close. Yeah, this one also was called a Flywheels XPV. It was a radio controlled. It was like an early drone, like a little radio controlled.
I was a tomboy when it came to toys, so anything boys had, give it to me. An RC car, a monster truck, I want it. Sign me up.
This one was a fun one. We have Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses from 2006. This looks like, I don't know, like a Sugar Plum fairy line. Here are Bratz Forever Diamond. We also have Magtastic toys. It looks like everything that's magnetized. So you get to make a little fucked up creature with magnets.
Looks like a gimmick.
Looks like magnets to me. And then we have a Kid Tough digital camera, which I had one of these. It took fake pictures.
Did it?
Or you could put a disposable camera inside and it just gave you a bigger grip to click and take pictures. I'm pretty sure I had this or something like this.
I'm pretty sure I had a real digital camera by then. So
yeah.
Pass for me.
All right. Well, really quickly, I'll switch over to 10 things that will bring you back to the holidays in 2006. This is an article by Diana Brooke from Cosmopolitan. We have the Victoria's Secret Christmas catalog. I recently just hopped on my social media and gave a big fuck you to Victoria's Secret because they are trying to rebrand themselves as a more accessible company now. But to me, there's just, you can't undo years of what that company has built. But I still get it. 2006 was a huge height for Victoria's Secret. And
I used to love the fashion shows. I'm not gonna lie. I used to watch them on YouTube. So.
Yeah. Well, listen. I mean, they had great deals, I'm sure, in this catalog with holiday fragrance sets, lots of love spells. One thing they did have, and it's later down here in the article, I audibly gasped and was like, "Oh, I had this." The Mad Sparkly or the Noir Tease Shimmer.
It looks familiar. It looks familiar.
Yeah, it you basically pumped a little bit of shimmer from the bottom and then you swiped it all over your face or your chest, and it was slightly vanilla scented or something, I think.
Oh, the highlighter of its
time. Yes, it was early 2006 highlighter.
So you could walk around looking like Edward Cullen.
That was 2 years but ahead of its time. But yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what if Stephanie Meyers like had that and she's like, this reminds me of what I think a vampire looks like. And that's how she wrote the book. Other things that were popular in Christmas 2006 or the holidays 2006. Bratz dolls, The Holiday comes out. So You Have a Bad Day, ba-na-na-na-na. That song comes
Daniel
out.
Powder.
Yes. Bad Bitch, Pink Razor, Bones, Bejeweled Jeans, Low Rise, of course, V-neck silky baby doll dresses, the Grey's Anatomy Christmas special. Don't ask me about it because I didn't watch it. The Victoria's Secret holiday commercials with all of the girls in lingerie. We have the red Starbucks sleeves for like that gave him a frosty makeover because I think this was like before Starbucks started doing the like cups. So they might have just done the sleeve. So there we go.
What a time.
All right, Bria, hit us with your pop culture corner.
All right, real quick. We have some cover boys in the building because Will Smith is not just on magazines by himself. He's on magazines with his son, Jaden. So he's on Entertainment Weekly, Jet, and Ebony, of course. And then quickly, I wanted to hit us with some bop culture. Number one R&B singles. This includes hip hop because they can't seem to categorize black music correctly. But number one singles of 2006, Mary J. Blige had a chokehold on us at the beginning of the year with Be Without You. Classic.
Oh, yeah.
T.I. followed up with What You Know about that. Young Jock with It's Going Down, Meet Me at the Club.
Oh, yeah.
It's going down.
Then we followed it up with another crunk classic, Snap Your Fingers and do your step. Yes. Cassie got her, I wouldn't call her a one-hit wonder because I like a few of her other songs, but her biggest song, Me and You, came out. Young Dro, Shoulder Lean featuring T.I., who was on his label. Then, of course, we're getting Beyonce featuring Jay-Z with Deja Vu. Chingy and Tyrese with Pulling Me Back, another classic with, what's his name? Jason,
Weaver?
Derulo.
No.
Weaver.
Yes, Jason Weaver, Young Simba, on the chorus.
Yeah.
Smart guy.
Yes.
Or the brother.
Yes, Marcus on Smart Guy. Janet Jackson comes back out post Super Bowl with her next album. Well, not next album, but another album, 20YO, featuring the hit song Call on Me with Nelly. And then we have Say Goodbye by Chris Brown. Money Maker, Shake Your Money, Make It Like Somebody. Ludacris and Pharrell. And Irreplaceable by Beyonce closed out December. So it's the song, like he said, of 2006 December. We also have some sad deaths in the Black community. Coretta Scott King and James Brown passed away in 2006. They have memorial covers for them for the Jet magazine, so that's how I found that out. Beyonce was officially on her own with B-Day, but she is not the only member of Destiny's Child who's making waves in 2006. LaToya Luckett came out finally with a solo album and her hit song Torn, which love that song, love the video. Will Demps in the video, chef's kiss, very attractive man. Sierra came out with her sophomore album Evolution, which featured the hit song Promise, which talk about that.
Yeah. Forgot about that one.
Yes, love that song and that video. Run's House was a staple on MTV. We got introduced to a young Diggy Simmons and Angela and Vanessa with their Shoes pastry. So
Yes.
I watched Run's House all the time. Whose house? Run's house. And retired football player Emmitt Smith won Dancing with the Stars. And so also on that season was our Independence Day co-star Vivica A. Fox. So that was another Jet cover that I did not foresee being a thing, but it's cool. Black people on Dancing with the Stars. Yes.
Nice.
And now we move on over to the box office of 2006. What movies came out this month?
Yes. In addition to The Pursuit of Happiness, other movies that were released in December were Blood Diamond, The Holiday, The Good Shepherd, which has Matt Damon and Robert De Niro in it. Air Buddies, which I think we talked
Oh, dogs, yes.
with all those little golden retrievers. We Are Marshall, which has Matthew McConaughey in it. That's like a sports movie. Letters from Iwo Jima, Night at the Museum, Dreamgirls, and Factory Girl.
Serious.
Yes.
We're your dream girls. Have you seen Dreamgirls, Shaleena?
Yes, but I don't think from beginning to end. I think like just pieces.
Oh.
Beyonce's in that too.
What's that?
I said Beyonce's in that too.
Oh, yes,
so.
I'm aware. Yeah. I know Jennifer. Did Jennifer get an award for that?
She did.
Jennifer
Yeah.
Hudson, yeah.
Yeah, she got an
Okay.
Oscar.
She won an Oscar.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
I thought it would have been magical if Beyonce got one too, but
For Best Supporting.
yeah. No one I want to get Oscars seemed to win.
Oh no.
Except for Will, and then we all know what happened there. Anyways, the box office for
Yes. Hit us
for
with those
Pursuit of
numbers.
Happiness. The budget was estimated at $55 million. The gross in U.S. and Canada came in at $163.5 million, and opening weekend U.S. Canada is $26.5 million, so about half, and gross worldwide $307 million.
Nice.
Pretty successful movie for a drama and not an action, sci-fi, CGI heavy film for Will.
Right.
So super impressed.
I'm wondering, I'm sure we could look this up really quickly, but Chris Gardner had to have been signed off to get some kind of royalties, right? For like whatever.
He's also in the credits.
Yes.
I think he's one of the producers or
He
executive
did,
producers.
yes, and then he had a walk-on role at the very end after Chris was like accepted into the brokerage firm, and they're like kind of like walking together. Him and Christopher are walking together. They pass another person on the street, and that's the real Chris Gardner. At the very
Yeah,
end.
he was definitely involved and on set. And,
Okay.
Even the Jet, I think the Jet article or the Ebony article on the movie, a lot of it is heavily like about him and his real situation, and less so Will and Jaden, or it's intermingled. So
yeah, and he did a lot of like press release for this too. He was on a lot of the talk shows. So
he's on Oprah with them.
Yeah.
So
cool.
And I didn't know that apparently too, Ebony was the first to like write about him in the media apparently, and then other news outlets picked up his story, so that's kind of cool.
Nice.
But yeah, so we don't have a Little Raj review for Pursuit of Happiness. I think there's one that exists. I don't know why it's not on his website or like the Chicago Sun-Times, but there is an article on his website called Happiness is a Good Father by Omer M. Muzaffar. Sorry if I butchered that. It's not so much a review, I think, but he does have some good points. I did read the review from Entertainment Weekly and then the SF Chronicle or SF paper, because I was like, oh, hey, we're Bay Area based, and this movie was in the Bay Area, but it was a really generic review to me. But so reading the article that's on Roger Ebert's site, I think it's really interesting because apparently this guy is a professor, so I guess he has like his students watch this movie and wants to ask them questions about like happiness and stuff. But I like that he points out that this movie takes many directions that Hollywood movie usually takes. At first, he seems to answer the question of the pursuit of happiness the way we would expect a Hollywood filmmaker to answer, that happiness is wealth. We get to see all the rich, happy people, and then he goes on to say that secondly, it takes place in the 80s, so a lot of these people are white, and people of color are kind of juxtaposed as, he says, angry, depressed, or broken. The one exception is Will Smith, who effortlessly carries almost every scene with charm and delicate strength. His Chris Gardner is trying to be his best to become happy, while everyone in his environment is breaking him down. Third, he says Happiness is based on a true story underdog who defeats all odds, overcoming all obstacles every time his life gets hopeful. A piano starts its simple medley. And and he goes on to talk about too, like, the importance, and I've seen this in other articles. I think like in the Ebony article, Will talks about this, like why he wanted to do this movie. Part of it is like the imagery of seeing a father who in this article, the Roger Ebert article, is sympathetic, caring, intelligent, and dignified, and just this imagery of Black fatherhood that is like not stereotypically shown in media. So this was a chance to like show something that we typically didn't get to see. I do like that this guy goes on to say that, you know, it's great that that happens, but unfortunately, all the women that carry any substance are hopeless. And so he points out Thandie Newton's character and even the daycare lady and the hippie girl that he asked to watch his device. And, you know, he points out it seems that Hollywood's only way to praise a father is to attack the mothers. So I really liked this article. I felt like I wasn't expecting this. I definitely thought Roger Ebert had a review or somebody had a review on his website. But
yeah,
a professor, I think more professors should write movie articles. But I liked the points that he made in this. I thought it was really well done. And it confirmed like some of my thoughts and feelings on this movie. So we don't know what Lil Raj would have ranked this. I feel like he would have gave it probably like 3.5 to 3 stars, maybe a 4, but he's a man of mystery sometimes.
So that still leaves Legend of Bagger Vance as his highest rated film.
Unfortunately,
he hasn't fucking. I am like I see, because I thought that there would be a redemption today, you know, every week we always switch off of like who does it. So I was like looking forward to the mystery. And so as I was just putting this sweatshirt on right before we started recording, I was like, if Lil Raj doesn't give this 4 stars or doesn't give this higher than Legend of Bagger Vance, like I'm gonna not have to wear this sweatshirt for a while. Like I'm gonna be like a little miffed about it. But then I'm like perplexed why he didn't write.
I don't know if this was like the start of like his health issues or something, but yeah. So I was kind of bummed too, because I was looking forward to his very concise way of explaining things. But
yes,
Shaleena, our guest, what do you think of Pursuit of Happyness? How many pumps of butter would you give this movie on a scale of 1 to 4 being the highest?
Ooh, I would say 4 pumps of butter. I didn't really see any flaws with it. I watched it again today just to remind myself of the plot. But yeah, I think it was well done. His story was highlighted in a great way. Chris Gardner's story. And it made me think. I remember when the first time I watched it, it made me really think about people experiencing homelessness. And like you just never know who on the street you walk by may be experiencing it. It's not always, you know, the people that you see on the street. It could be anyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember taking that away from it.
Yeah.
Simone?
I'm also going 4 pumps. I'm going 4 pumps, and I'm also bringing extra napkins to use as tissues, because this one, I don't often cry in movies, but this one definitely evoked several moments of like anxiety and panic for me, just watching him like run from one place to another, or like just the misfortune and like happenal circumstances. I'm misusing the phrases, but like it just is like one stream of bad thing after another, and so that like got me just feeling very like panicked. Like it kind of reminds me, this is a weird analogy, but it's like similar to how the movie Superbad makes me feel, where it's just like like Superbad's funny, But it's like one bad thing happening to these kids over and over and over again and digging themselves like deeper into this hole. And so that's kind of what it reminded me of. And there's a Kurt Vonnegut has this like chart called the shape of stories. And I think this one is called like categorized under that man in a hole story of just, you're rooting for this person to get themselves out and then they have to do other things that put themselves further into the hole but we're like rooting for them the whole time to eventually find a way to climb out.
Yeah. Man. All right. Well, I would give this 4 as well, but I've got hot sauce in my bag. So my perception of this movie is not so flowery. It's a little spicy. I think this is a great movie in terms of its great storytelling, it's great acting, it's great direction, cinematography, all the things you want in a movie, basically. Like, it does that very well. The caveat, I feel, of this movie is I feel like not that like the movie didn't age well, but like the way this story was told didn't age well to me, especially finding out that a lot of things in the movie like didn't add up in Garner's real life or didn't happen how they happened in the movie. And we expect that. We expect some things to be dramatized and stuff like that. But I feel like his life story is so compelling without doing all that or, just telling it like it was. But I think the 2006 of it all is like, let's put this in a nice package and, tell it. But I think in 2022, if someone told this story, it'd be vastly different and very real. And thinking about where the world is now in economics and in America and hell, fuck San Francisco, the Bay Area, homelessness is so bad, like tent cities and stuff. And thinking about that and watching this and having this overarching ideal that this is the American dream. And this is like, even no matter how low you get and all these things, being in this hole, you can pull yourself up and, achieve like this huge success. And I just think that part of it is bullshit. Like the whole time I'm watching the movie, I'm just like, if systems were better in this country, this would not be like this. Like it would not be this much of a thing for this man to find somewhere to stay with his child, tax issues, like, all the stuff he's going through. I was just like, if we just had better resources, like this shouldn't be a story. Like this shouldn't happen to people. And so that's where my spicy take comes from. But like in terms of a movie, like it's very well movie-fied, but yeah, it just made me like get mad at at the United States and the government and all the things. But yeah, let's talk more about the trailer. I think typical sappy, like inspirational film trailer.
Yes, it has the song "Ooh Child, Things Are Gonna Be Easier." You know kind of what it's going to be about, and I think this movie inspired a lot of people, I think, to learn more about Chris Gardner. I would say this had the exposure to a lot like a wider audience, and I'll say a whiter audience too. I know movies like this really inspired my mom. And so the year after Pursuit of Happyness came out, we volunteered as a family in 2007 Christmas at Glide Memorial Church, and Chris Gardner was there and did a speech, and she like nudged me. She's like, "That's the guy from the movie, the Pursuit of Happyness movie. Like that's the real guy." And that was like what inspired her to do that. And I think with even just with, and I'm like getting way off topic with the trailer, but I think that if you didn't know about him and his story, and this was kind of, and Chris Gardner does like TED Talks and motivational speaking and books and all that. It's like he had the book Pursuit of Happyness as well. I think this was a way for a lot of people to like learn about this story. It was the start of a new, I don't know.
That's neat that you volunteer. Your family volunteered at the church there. You
Yeah.
got to see him. Did you get to meet him as well, or
No, 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 no.
okay?
It was the service because we're Jewish, so we don't have anything to do on Christmas typically. So we the service was. I mean the like room that they hold all the people in. I guess like the main church room was really really big, and we were kind of like off to the back. And then once the service was done, we went downstairs and served hot food to residents that were living there. And then I went back again. It was like around Thanksgiving time, and it was for my undergrad, but I already like knew I was going to be getting in the education field, but we had to do like certain volunteer hours.
Nice.
But yeah, I think for we see homelessness a lot in the Bay Area, especially whenever we make a trip out into San Francisco. And I think for families to see this like success story, I would say, of and again, this is like a very singular story. This doesn't happen to everybody, right? But I just remember like the exposure of this kind of movie to people like me was like, whoa, that's really cool and eye-opening, and it made me feel different like most times when I would go back into the city. But I digress. I'm really sorry. That's like way off of what we think about the trailer of this movie. But I think when this trailer came out, it like had my parents saw this in the theater. I didn't, but it touched them clearly in some way.
And kind of genius to have it come out in December.
In
like
Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good marketing.
Yeah, good choice of like pulling on people's like heartstrings and conscience. Did you watch the trailer, Shaleena, or have any thoughts about the trailer?
Did. I probably did, but I don't remember the trailer.
It's okay. I barely watched it, so
Okay.
no sweat there. The summary of Pursuit of Happyness. I'm just gonna wing this. Basically, Chris Gardner is a man, family man. Him and his wife and his son live in San Francisco. They're not doing the best financially. She's pulling double shifts. He's trying to sell this bone density scanner that he poured his life savings into and is now stuck trying to get rid of, but with very little luck. And, you know, through that and through their financial troubles, he sees a man one day and does the TikTok trend now of asking a person with
what do you do?
a person with a very fancy 1980s Ferrari, what do you do and how do you do it? And this inspires him to look into stock brokering. And in order to do that, he has to go through a lot of strife. Unfortunately, his wife leaves him and he's still stuck selling these scanners. He gets evicted from their apartment, has to live in a motel, comes on very hard times because he's back on IRS payments, gets arrested before his job interview and shows up at the job interview not looking too hot, but, you know, very smart to get through that. And trying to sell the rest of these bone density scanners to, you know, help make ends meet while also having like 2 of them stolen. So very up and down, highs, very low lows. Not really any highs, actually, very low lows.
Yeah, very low.
Just keep dipping down, and purely to a relationship between a father and a son, and that connection and wanting to be in your kid's life and trying to do everything in your power to do the best for them and break some cycles. And yeah, in the end, he gets the job as a stockbroker and is able to probably pull him and his son out of poverty, and his life goes on to be this huge success story that, you know, is so successful. Will Smith wanted to make a movie about it because it's produced by Overbrook, his production company, him and Jada. So yeah, did I miss anything? I mean,
great summary. Very good.
Yep.
Nice and concise.
Yeah, nice. Well, let's talk about the cast. So
Yeah.
not a huge cast.
No, it's not. And so, I mean, I guess that makes sense with a budget of 55 million. Plus, it was like mainly filmed in and around San Francisco. So that was nice. And I noted that those BART trains, they probably didn't need to pull out the old BART trains. Those are probably the same BART trains from the 1980s as they were in 2006.
Oh, shame.
Well, I do happen to know that, like, for Fruitvale Station, when they shot the BART scenes, that they did that, like, at night when, like, the stations were closed, and or like in the train yard, like when they're on the trains. So I noticed that those trains are in way better condition than they would have been in 2006 when they shot it. Now we have like newer-ish trains trickling in with new layouts and whatnot. But yeah, like the BART train hasn't changed very much. Although I do think we should do like a movie SF like location tour.
Oh, we were gonna do that for Made in America, right?
That and Wedding Planner.
Oh yeah, and our little moped.
Nice.
Holiday Inn.
Yeah, the moped Holiday Inn. Anyways,
the
what are we
cast.
talking about? The cast.
Sorry. So in addition to Will Smith, who plays the lead role as Chris Gardner, we have Thandie Newton playing his wife, Linda, who I think was more fictionalized, right? I think Linda was inspired by Chris Gardner's like first wife, who was the mother of his kids.
I'm not sure, but all I know is that she didn't leave her child like that, and she actually wound up caring for him for a while Chris was struggling and figuring stuff out.
Interesting.
But so I thought that choice to like fictionalize or dramatize that part of it was like kind of like oh man, what's his name? Like the Roger Ebert article said, you know, you're villainizing the women to basically uplift the male character in this movie,
feel more deeply for the main character. Yeah, that's tough. And additionally, so Jaden Smith, as we know, the real life son of Will Smith and Jada, plays Christopher, little Christopher. And he, I think in real life, Chris Gardner's son was like 14 months or 18 months. He was like a lot smaller than 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
But I think Will's decision of like bringing his own son was to add that same kind of like closeness and bond of going through their struggles together rather than like pulling in just a...
Yeah, and you can do a lot more with a 5-year-old than a baby, so
yes.
I understand that choice.
Yes.
I actually thought, since we're just on Jaden, I just wanted to say, like, I thought he was really good in this movie.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
Such a star.
Yeah, we've talked about child stars before, and, you know, sometimes there's this very, like, Shirley Temple, like, hello, my baby, hello, like, you know, like, I'm a child star, as Simone put it, and I want to say that was, like, the Enough episode, but...
yeah, it was bad.
But, yeah, like, he... Like, in the Ebony article and other articles, like, I think Chris Gardner jokes that, like, he was joking with Will that Jaden was, like, stealing the spotlight from him and stealing scenes from him. And Will noted, too, that he learned a lot, actually, from working with Jaden because where he would, in his mind, have an idea of, like, what a scene would look like or the performance that he needed to put together, like, Jaden was very much just, like, natural and in the moment. Like, if he needed to scratch his nose, he would scratch it. It wouldn't be like, oh, well, Chris wouldn't do this. Like, he was just like, I need to scratch my nose. Like, or if he positioned himself different in a take or something. And I think that maybe allowed Will to relax and also connect more to, like, this role in some ways. So I'm glad he did this movie. I know I've talked with Danielle about, like, the Smiths' choice of, like, letting their kids do show business and knowing how it is for kid actors. But personally, I feel like I don't know that struggle, but I think the child stars that have had problems and trauma experiences never have adults around them with good intentions. And so I think that the Smith kids have two parents that are always with them practically when they're working. So
Yeah.
in this instance, by all means, Jaden deserved whatever big check he got for this role, because I'm
Yeah.
sure he got like a nice little savings started.
Yes. And I think he got like an MTV award for like best breaking role.
Oh, wow. Good for
At
him.
such a young
Wow.
age. Yeah.
Wow.
And we can get into like the acting choices later because I definitely have some notes on his like choices and his emotion as a child actor. But the last few people that we have on the roll call list are Brian Howe, who plays Jay Twistle. He's also in the show Westworld, which so is Thandie Newton. So I think that's pretty interesting. And actor James Karen, he passed, but he played like the older guy in the stockbroker firm, Martin Fromm. Dan Castellaneta, who for Simpson fans know him as the voice of Homer Simpson. In this movie, he was like the head of the interns. So the part in the movie when they ask like, "Oh, give me a donut," was like a nod to Homer Simpson.
Oh, I
um,
knew he looked
I know.
familiar.
I don't know. I guess I don't like know what they all look like.
He was
I
in
didn't
Space Jam,
expect-
I think.
He was also in Space Jam. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like a random fan
And I
or
remember
something.
learning, yeah, that's Homer.
Yes. There's also Kurt Fuller, who plays Walter Ribbon. He's a comedic actor. He's been in, he was in the like Scary Movie 2, Ghostbusters 2, Midnight in Paris. I don't know. He's like in random things. And Takayo Fisher, who plays Mrs. Chu. Don't really know her much from other things, but those are kind of like the main. That's it.
Kevin West, who played like the homeless man who thought that the device was a time machine. He was in like Biodome and like all kinds of other small things, TV shows and stuff. So I definitely recognized him. I was like, hey, I've seen him. But he's one of those actors you see and stuff, but you're not like, I know who that is. Like, you're like, I've seen him before. And that's it, really. I mean, this movie story revolves around the Chris's and Will and Jaden, so
Yes.
not too much on the supporting cast. But let's get into Will and his performance. Or did you want to talk about Jaden more, since you said you had notes on
Oh,
choices? Or?
well, I guess we can talk about him first. I think that child acting is a very, very finicky thing. It's difficult to teeter along the line of being too overtly cheesy, over the top, what we like to call like Disney Channel acting, like and it's just overdone. But in one of the interviews that Will Smith did was he wasn't with Jaden, but he had talked about the difference between Jaden and his older son is that Jaden just growing up around actors, around movies, around sets with him and his mom, just kind of like had this big natural ease into this role, and that he was really just playing a 5-year-old who had similar struggles to regular 5-year-olds, but layered upon having to deal with parents splitting, homelessness, kind of bouncing around to. I mean, he stayed at the same daycare, but not knowing which parent's going to pick you up at the end of the day or whatever. And that when preparing for this role, Will really talked with Chris Gardner about family, children, and fear, and how all three of those things kind of work together to create this role as a father figure. And that from the first day of filming, Jaden had this clear separation of film and reality, which I guess Trey didn't. Like when he did, was it Men in Black or Independence Day? when
Yeah.
he like
They were
struggled.
both in Men in Black briefly, but
Yeah.
I think he pointed out Independence Day. Like, he couldn't be
The
like, this is a
aliens,
movie. Like,
yeah, there was like something a little different, but like with Jaden, that I mean, granted, this didn't have aliens in it, but it was like just basically playing real life. Um, but the scene where they have to go run to catch the bus to make getting in line at Glide Memorial Church by 5 p.m., and he drops the Captain America doll. Those are real tears that Jaden felt very deeply, and it took him a while to like calm down after. And I cried at that part, seeing that like besides the basketball, that's the one thing that this kid has that he like loves and cherishes so much, and his dad's just like, drop it, leave it, come on. And he doesn't do it to be mean, but he does it
yeah.
because there's this clear urgency and purpose to get on the bus. And then you just see these like silent tears as he turns away and sees this doll. And
Yeah.
and he said that in real life that Jaden felt that so deeply, and I feel like it really comes across on screen that it's not like, okay, spray this kid's face to give the appearance of crying. I really felt all of his emotions, the like highs and lows, whether it's, pretending that there's dinosaurs so that they have to go hide in a cave, or feeling frustration because they don't know where they're going to sleep next, or even the moment where they go back to the motel and all of their belongings are outside, and Christopher's just like, just open the door, like, yes, we can sleep there, just the key's there, open the door. And Chris takes him and kind of like shakes him a little bit. He's like, we can't, like, do you understand me, like, we cannot go in there. And that was another scene that made me just like completely lose it. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like for his age, he was acting, but I think there's a real magic of also being at that age, because if you remember being 5, you feel things very deeply, whether it's you stubbing your toe, or you lose your favorite Beanie Baby, or someone beats you at a game of Monopoly, like you feel things at that age. And so I felt like a lot of those emotions that you see, acting, yes, but also just working really well with the age that he was.
Shaleena, what do you think? I feel like you've been pretty
Sorry,
quiet.
my dog was barking, so I was eating. Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you said, Simone. And another scene that came to mind was when Chris pretends he gets stung by a bee, and then Christopher is like, "Oh, let me see. Like, are you okay? Are you sure you're okay?" And then Chris is like, "It's okay. I'm good. I'm good. Just sit back."
Mhm.
So just seeing like that's such a kid response, the empathy, like, oh my goodness, like someone that I love is hurt. Let me see if they're okay. Really stood out to me. He nailed that scene.
Yeah. And Will too pointed out that like the Captain America scene, like they were prepared to like give him time to get there emotionally, and apparently he did it pretty fast. And he was kind of shocked. He was like, "Why didn't you tell me you could do that?" Like, kind of like that, like proud father thing. So I think that this probably, I'm sure it like altered their relationship in some way, but in a positive way. Like, I think sharing your passion with anybody automatically like connects you at another level. And so having your kid kind of follow in your footsteps and do well at it. I do want to say though, and I don't think you meant this, but I think that like being 5, yes, makes this probably a lot easier. But I think to think when you're a child actor, like you have to memorize your script, you have to find those emotions, you're with your dad, so you have to like shift that. Like, I'm not like, Jaden points out in one interview that he was like, he was like always, not Jaden, but Will was like always very much in character, kind of, even when they weren't like on set, or like they were in the trailer, and he was like, "Dad, can I have some orange juice?" And he's like, "Christopher, we don't have money for orange juice." And he's like, like he couldn't put it off. So like being in that situation, I feel like could have been overwhelming too, but like I'm sure, like you said, growing up around it. But I don't think like any kid could just walk into that, like, either. Like, he definitely has some kind of gift for acting. And there was another, the scene too where Will Smith's Chris. Okay, we're Chris and Christopher. Okay, so Chris, they're playing basketball, and the lovely speech of like, don't ever tell anybody you can't do something. Like, I wholeheartedly felt when Jaden was just like, well, fuck this basketball, because he, like, his body language and everything was just like, okay, well, you're shooting down my dreams, so like, I don't want to play anymore, like, I'm just gonna go over here. And like, that I thought was really well acted, and I feel like that's not something that you can necessarily just tell a kid to do. Like, his ability to like embody that and showcase that emotion. And I don't think he really said anything. Like, it was just very nonverbal acting there was really good. And yeah, like, I just, yeah, I thought he was really good. So moving on, maybe to Will.
Yeah. I feel like Will Smith, it's not that he Will Smithed in a non-traditional sense. And I mean, like, we've seen him get angry, we've seen him get emotional, we've seen him be sad at things, and we've seen him obviously be very funny. We've seen him be like the hard-ass lawyer type in Enemy of the State. But this, I think, just like given the circumstances of the story, obviously provoked a lot deeper of an emotional tone and level to it. So he had for sure like funny moments, like the part where you were saying at the interview earlier of, they said, well, what would you say if someone was interviewing for a job and they weren't wearing a shirt? They'd be like, well, they must have a really nice pair of pants then. But I think that I was so looking forward for this movie because I just knew that there was going to be a different caliber of acting. And you see those moments subtly in different scenes. And I think for me, it really ties in at the end when Chris is offered the job, but he had that interaction with Jay Twistle in the bathroom just like right before. And he was like, hey, no matter what happens, like, I'm really proud of you. You've done a lot of hard work. So he's like finishing up washing his hands, and he's like, you can see it without saying it out loud, like, oh my God, did I not get the job? And he's like giving me a pity, like, hey, you did good there. You tried hard or whatever, no matter what happens. You can see that emotion in his face, and like slight confusion. And then when they bring him into the like boardroom to offer him the job, and he says, well, wear your shirt tomorrow for your first day. And you don't see it right away, but you see it when he stands up to go shake the man's hands that he's crying. And obviously, like, I get that's probably like a masculine thing. You don't want to like break down and be like, oh my God, and like, like want to like shake everybody's hands. But that moment of triumph, I just don't think that we've seen that in the movies. But that's because movies like Independence Day, Men in Black, and Bad Boys, like, it doesn't call
Shark
for
Tale.
It doesn't call for that yet, so it's like hard because this role is not very comparable to a lot of other things that he's done, but it will be comparable to some other things later on. So we'll pigeonhole this for now because we all know that he was nominated for an Oscar for this role, but lost to Forest Whitaker. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. As you were talking, I was just thinking back to when you first told me that you were doing Will Smith for season 2, and I think that such a great pick because he's so talented. Like he could be comedic, he could be serious. That I don't think there's any other actor that's really good at such diverse roles or characters. I don't know. I can't think of an actor that's so, what's the word I'm looking for? Can give you
He's
such
like
a
Swiss
variety.
Army knife, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's such a variety of character types. I don't think there's any like it.
I
I don't know.
I think there's actors who definitely do different types of movies, and here we go back to season 1. Jennifer Lopez definitely has a variety of movies, but her strong suit is not everything. And I think Will actually excels at everything. Like, he's
Mhm.
funny. Like, he's
Yeah,
not just trying to be funny. Like, he's funny. Like,
yeah.
I'm surprised he's not a comedian half the time. And the fact that he can ad lib with comedians like Martin Lawrence and hold his own in movies, amazing. And he can be the action cool guy, a la still in Bad Boys, and the muscular like hottie and whatnot. And he can be serious in Pursuit of Happiness, and even like I think we were starting to get like baby steps of this with Legend of Bagger Vance, but even starting back with 6 Degrees of Separation and eventually Ollie. But I think this is him really. He says that this is one of his best performances and best movies. And he also says that this was him getting out of his comfort zone as well. I mean, we know that we just covered like 2 sequels, Men in Black and Bad Boys 2. So to leave that train and do something like this, like, and really own it and do it well, I think shows a lot about his skill set. But yeah, you're right. I can't off the top of my head. I'm sure. I think okay, obviously Meryl Streep. Like she's definitely up there with actors and actresses who can like kind of
Oh,
do
with
whatever.
range.
Yeah.
Range. That's
Um
the word I was looking for.
yes,
Range. Yes.
range. Who else? I mean, it's kind of hard
He's one
because
of
a
a
lot of
kind.
yeah, a lot of people just stay with like their bread and butter or like what they like to do or what's fun or what people expect of them. It's very rare that a lot of people like move around as much in movie categories like that.
I would say if we're I don't know what do you feel about Jim Carrey? Because Jim Carrey, remember when he started doing serious films, people like myself were like, really? But then when I saw the more serious films, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
that works oddly.
I think Jim Carrey is good. I think the only thing is I feel like it's just like that too, you know? He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have an action movie, does he? Like or, something
I suppose
that,
not, but he's done like rom-coms, comedies, serious stuff,
yeah.
Academy Award nominated stuff.
I
I
would put
suppose
him
not
up there.
action. Yeah, yeah.
One action movie does not make it like all of a sudden, oh no, you're great. Like those are other great
No, but
genres.
if you're looking of a full range of categories,
Yeah.
then yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. The Rock. No, I'm kidding.
No.
Lord.
But yeah, that's a good point. What do you think about his performance in Pursuit of Happiness,
Oh,
Shaleena?
stellar performance. Um,
And why did you want to do this movie with us? Because you definitely had like a pick of.
I think I chose Hancock, but you said someone else, another guest
Yeah,
is doing
no
that
more
one.
late fees. Tune in
Yeah,
for
drats. I do love Hancock. And then yeah, Pursuit of Happiness would be my second pick. But yeah, I remember feeling very empathetic first time watching this. I think I saw it in theaters and I actually cried with this
Oh.
movie. The scene when they're in the washroom at the subway station, or I don't know if you guys call it subway.
Yes.
You're, sorry, that's my dog.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Sorry, let me just.
Oh, fur babies. They don't know that you're doing a podcast.
They don't know. They just were like, I want to hang out with you.
No, he barks whenever he sees people walking, like in the window. Oh, sorry.
Aw. What kind of dog do you have?
He's half Jack Russell, half Chihuahua.
Oh, no wonder.
He's really small.
Talkative.
Jack Chi.
He's just like,
Yeah.
oh, man, what are you doing?
Exactly. He hates people.
How dare you walk? Oh my god. But anyways, the scene in the washroom in the train
Yes.
station. situation.
Yes, when he's holding Christopher, and he's just crying on the washroom floor. I was just like, oh my God, this is so sad. And then even the part leading up to that scene where he's to get his son into the restroom, he creates like a imaginative world, the like traveling back to time to dinosaurs, like very creative, like A+ on parenting for that one. And like, okay, how am I gonna get my kid to like basically sleep in the washroom? So yeah, that was his performance with that was just stellar. I really felt for him for that. And yeah, I think yeah, overall, just he made me really believe like he was Chris in this movie, like the hustle. Yeah, just I don't know. I'm speechless. I don't know what else to say. He was fabulous.
I think too, the wardrobe and styling definitely helps. Like,
yeah, I
his hair, he
appreciated
dyed his hair. Like,
the little like gray patches, and I liked how this movie wasn't overtly 80s, which like Stranger Things is like 80s in your face, wow, kind of thing, and sometimes movies like that or shows like that can be really distracting. But I liked that the costuming was like fairly subtle, that I felt like it could be multiple different time periods. And then the only time that we really get, besides like the cars and stuff, is when Chris is watching TV at one point and like Reagan's talking about like the federal budget and low employment rate. This is like on the cusp of like Reaganomics. And he like, I think that's what like Ronald Reagan is known for in his era of presidency, of really trying to get more jobs during this. I mean, he did a lot of other shady crooked shit, but he had his own like trickle down effect of like employment and spending and having that go back to the people. You tell me if it worked. I don't know. Regardless, no. But anyways, going back to the timeline of like you're right, the costuming helped, and that they wore basically the same thing because that's all they had. And the real Chris Gardner had said, during this time I had 2 suits, and I had to keep those suits clean and keep my kid in clean clothes as well.
Yeah. I did find when he talked about that he said that someone, like, it was a joke that he only had 2 suits, and so one was blue and one was gray, and that it was basically like he was like switching sides in the Civil War. And I was just like, that is so like distasteful. Like, he is black. Like, he would not switch like
would
sides.
Not be
like,
yeah.
But good for his now very wealthy self to like take that in stride and be like, oh, this joke going around that, you know, given the day, I'm either fighting for the North or the South. Like, I would have been like, excuse me, what do you mean by that?
Do you think do you think that joke came from him, or like some like poor tasteless joke at like the stockbroker firm, like someone made that comment?
It was definitely someone at the firm, microaggression like type thing, where they were like, so funny, and he's probably just like, oh yeah, let me make this cold call real quick. Like,
yeah.
But the styling, his hair, the mutton chops, chef's kiss. I also him in a very period appropriate white undershirt tank top, like that was lovely. We got a very different shower scene than the iRobot shower scene in this one. But yeah, the styling I think helped take the Will Smith out of it all for me. I think some of his mannerisms, he said that he, you know, like realizing that moving is intentional as well as a character, and so, you know, I joked that he's a runner, he's a track star.
Yeah, at the beginning.
But he runs a lot in this movie. We've seen Will Smith run.
He runs a lot in his movies.
Yeah, and iRobot, Bad Boys,
Enemy of the State.
Men in Black. Opening scene is him running, or chasing an alien. But, he runs in his movies and they're all action movies. But in this movie, he noticed, like, I take pride in, like, running and looking, good. But in this movie, I had to, dial it back and realize that, like, the way I move, like, someone running with urgency or someone running, and, like, when he's running away from, like, the cab driver or when he's running away, down the BART and the cab driver, like, follows him down
That
BART.
cab driver was fast. Like,
Yeah.
super fast. Oh my God.
Yeah, so, like, running with, like, emotions backed behind it. Like, I'm running away to safety in some senses, or, like, to escape, like, this guy kicking my ass or going to jail maybe. He intentionally, like, did that. And then also he noted that he also did some stuff like his dad would have, and I thought that was probably, like, a very natural thing to be like, who's a man I know that I can model Chris Gardner at this time after. And most people would probably be like, oh, my dad. And another thing is that in Will's book, he talks about his dad a lot and his work ethic and all that kind of stuff. And it reminded me of that a lot, like, not necessarily what Chris did, but just like that, work hard to provide for your family mindset. And even though Chris was struggling really to do that, that was his goal at all times, and he never really gave up on that goal. So I could definitely see, like, that in his acting choices of how he chose to, like, his mannerisms and portray Chris into parenting, because I'm sure, like, I highly doubt he takes Jaden and probably not now. He's a whole man now, but, like, I highly doubt he parented Jaden and his kids like that much. So probably grabbing that from his experience as a kid, of his parents just making ends meet and providing what they could. But yeah, I think this is the most that I feel like he hasn't Will Smithed his way through a movie, where it's just like, I expected this. Like,
and when I said Will Smithed himself in, like, a new way, what I meant was that I feel like it closed this circle of range that we haven't, like, fully seen yet, right? So, like, we've seen comedies, rom-coms, action, play format with 6 Degrees, and music, and that Fresh Prince silliness, I guess, if that's appropriate to say. But this kind of, like, closed the circle of being able to show this different range, and I don't know.
Yeah. In the Entertainment Weekly article by Owen Gleiberman, it starts off with, Will Smith doesn't seem the likeliest candidate to play a desperate, struggling man. Whatever the role, love coach, alien fighter Ali, he projects speed and good times and almost aerobic self-confidence. And I think that's true. And I think this is very different. And hell, even Chris Gardner was like, when they were working out, like, the movie stuff, Will's name coming up, he was like, Will? I don't know. Has he done anything like this? Like, and so nowadays you hear that, you're like, oh yeah, Will Smith. Like, that sounds like he'll get it right, Will or Denzel or somebody, Mahershala. But sometimes, you gotta take a chance on an unproven kid and be like, I don't know, I guess the Fresh Prince could play me, the dude from Bad Boys. Like, but I thought he did good. I thought, too, the scene in the bathroom when he's holding Christopher and crying, but not audibly crying, very much man tears of, like, trying to hold it together. I'm sure he didn't want to wake his son, but also there's like banging going on the door of someone trying to get in. And, I'm sure that was just like scary and just all kinds of stressful as well. And trying to figure out and navigate that, even to when Linda leaves and he's like, don't you ever take my son? And they're going back and forth about like custody and stuff, like Will and they said in the previous articles. It's good to see like a man who is like very adamant about being in his son's life and or his child's life, really, because I feel like most men definitely want to be in their son's lives, but like unfortunately in this case we only have a male child, but like to see a dad want to be a father and like be there and like do the things that a lot of single mothers probably definitely do, but it's rare to see this with a guy. So I like that this isn't a big daddy type of single dad film where it's just like pee wherever, and like Chris is a pretty solid parent, I feel like, in this movie.
Definitely.
Anything else?
The scene where he gets the call from Jay, and this was like right after he discovered that his wife
Had left, yeah.
And he didn't have a pen or paper, and he had to like run down to the like market super quickly, and he's like trying to memorize the numbers, and his friend comes up to him and he's like, hey, did you see that latest game? And he's like telling him like scores and numbers and stuff, and he's like, stop talking to me about numbers, and he's like trying to memorize. Like that panic was just like, oh my god, everyone just shut the fuck up so they can write it down on a piece of paper.
Yeah,
I was trying to memorize it like as the scene was going. I'm like, oh, I can't do it, I'm done.
Yeah,
I did. I think it was like
Nice.
8640256 and then extension 2756.
Okay, Bria.
What?
Okay.
I don't know.
Are you also
Watch
Rubik's
that
Cube
be
genius?
wrong. I am.
You are. She is actually really good at Rubik's Cube.
I plan on making a TikTok. Which, watching him do the Rubik's Cube in the movie, I was just like, what's his strategy? 'Cause
I don't think there was one
very-
because it was so new at the time, right?
Well, Will definitely learned how to do it for the movie, because
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen him like be like, can I still do it? But like the way you solve it, there's various ways to solve a Rubik's Cube, but like the way I know how to solve it, it's like he was doing it upside down to me. So I was just like, oh, that's really interesting. But speaking about Jay Twistle and the job offer, and also let's talk about the dude. Rest in peace, Pac Bell, because I haven't heard that in forever since like the AT&T park.
My dad used to work for Pac Bell, now AT&T. Yeah.
Really? Oh my god, that's so cool. Shaleena, you probably definitely don't know this, but Pac Bell was like a phone carrier in the Bay Area, like local, like your landlines and shit like that.
Okay.
And they got bought out by AT&T. But anyways, the guy he's trying to schmooze from Pacific Bell when he goes to his house, first off, when they're riding on the bus and like Christopher's like, his head is like on the window and like you see the beautiful homes passing by. Like I definitely did that as a kid. Riding through like the Oakland Hills, riding through San Francisco, like you turn a corner and boom, it's just like these huge, like big, nice houses. And, you're like, I want to live there someday. And like seeing that little white boy running with his little basketball and being like, but I thought it was like, I don't know, it was heartbreaking to me that guy, I mean, great for him for letting him come to the Niners game in the box.
R.I.P. Candlestick.
But that he like strung him along and was just like, well, you're new. I'm not going to trust you with, like, that's not the point. He's trying to get you to go to his firm. Like, he's not trying to take over your accounts per se. Like, he's just trying to, like they said in the beginning, like, reel them in and we'll cook the fish. Like, the other dudes who have been at, Dean Witter
Mhm.
would have taken care of the more financial part of it. But I don't know, that whole part gave me the ick. The part of even the cab part.
When he's
I
like, "Can I
mean,
borrow $5?" and I'm like,
I was gonna be pissed if that movie, like, let's should have Badger Pants, like if that movie ended without him getting his 5, and then I
thank God
breathed
it
a
did.
sigh of relief when he was like, "Oh, I didn't forget."
That
I was
part
like,
made me cry when he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, here's your $5." I'm like, oh.
yes. And then, but just like even to his interview, like where unfortunately he spent a night in jail, which didn't quite happen that way. But I'm fine with that wrongness of this movie portrayal. But he spent the night in jail and goes to the interview and doesn't look his best, obviously. But like that just juxtaposition of this black man trying his damnedest to get him and his son out of poverty, taking a chance at trying to get an internship. And you have 4 very affluent white men across from him being like, huh, and why should we hire you? Like, it just like always, and it's not like that they did anything. It's just that that's like the dynamic that, like, you know, we're all noticing and fighting against, of just like, look at who's always in power and like how hard it is to get your foot in the door. And even when that one guy who's like in charge of the interns, Alan Frackish, is like, oh, some of you are here because you know somebody, or some of you are here because you are, you know, actually talented or smart. That also grinded my gears, because you know that there were kids in there whose daddy worked there, whose uncle, who, you know, somebody there. And here you have this guy too, when he was living out of the shelters and always had his suitcase, and they're like, oh, what's that for? You going somewhere? And I'm like, how do you not clue in that this man is like struggling somehow? Like, I just feel like the lack of like people being like, I think something's going on with Chris. Like he's wearing the same 2 suits, carrying around a suitcase. I know he ain't going on golf trips to get clients. Like, that has to be a lie. Like,
yeah, either they were completely ignorant or the story like brushes past that. I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched enough interviews with the real Chris to know if he, and maybe he talks about this in his book, maybe he was honest, or maybe just out of like pride didn't want to share what was happening.
yeah.
Right? And like, I think we can appreciate both scenarios of that. But yeah, for someone to at least not to catch on and to be a complete asshole and just ignore it, and not someone to come up and be like, do you need like a hot meal? Like, would you like to come over for dinner? Like, we can't be able to, like, we can't have you stay, but we'd love to have you over for dinner or something, you know?
When they go to the 49ers game and the guy's like, oh, just put that in your car. Like, why are you taking that? And that's why he fakes the bee sting, to be like, oh, shit, something's happening. Like, distract him. And then that's why he's also irritated that Christopher's like, what, are you okay? Where's it at? And he's like, shut up. Like, but that, and then they're going into their lovely palatial home, and they're walking, Chris and Christopher are walking away from the street. Like, how do you not notice that there's not a car like that they're getting into? And like, I don't know, it's just the white people in this movie bothered me. And that is why I brought my hot sauce, basically.
Yeah, there's just a lot of ignorance, and or just like maybe they knew, and or they thought something was going on and they chose to look the other way, which is even worse.
I mean, I get, like, I know, hell, I don't even work somewhere that high up, but I know office culture, like, people are very much like this. Sometimes they're just like, this is my job, and neither should know the two of like my personal life or whatever. And so I understand that position, but I just felt like so many times throughout the movie, like even his friend that helped him move, that owed him $14.
Oh, that
he was
prick.
just like, yeah, Well,
Oh,
I was just I don't know. I wish he had community. Like, I'm just like, he doesn't have like a family member that he could stay with this child, or like anybody who's just like, compassionate or empathetic enough to be like, hey, he could have slept in homeboy's like little gremlin he had, like something, instead of like being like, well, good luck. Like, I don't know. But yeah, that pissed me off too, that he was just like, oh, I thought we cleared that up. I helped you moved. And he's like, you drove me 2 blocks. That does not
horrible.
make it
Horrible.
$14. And
Mm-hmm.
even then, I'm struggling. Give me my
Exactly.
money. Like, yeah, I don't know. All throughout this movie, I just wanted someone to help them. And I feel like in this country that, we get taught that, like, if you work hard, if you do this, then you will be successful and all this stuff. And I just think that that's just not true. And even like you said, like, this movie is very specific. Like, this doesn't just happen to anyone. And I think telling stories the way they chose to tell this story, a lot of the like fan comments and reviews I've seen, it's like, oh, this is so inspirational and stuff like that. And I get people probably relate to this for sure, but I just feel like it's also selling something. Like, the American dream is like really cracked. Like, it's not
Mm-hmm.
real. Like, the days of hounding somebody outside of their office so that they'll pull your job application to the top of the stack, or things like that, don't happen anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it rarely happened then at that time, but I mean, yeah, I don't know, just the improbability of it all. It's a real story though. But
The real story. Yeah.
I'm just like, ugh, don't give people false hope. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's definitely other factors, race, gender, where you live, access to certain resources.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like, luckily Chris was smart enough to like seek out a lot of this stuff, to like be like, you know what, okay, that guy said stockbroking is what got him that fancy ass car. I'm gonna go look into that.
Hmm.
And luckily too, that he was like, what, a traveling salesman, so he didn't really have like a job that would keep him from
Mm-hmm.
pursuing that. Granted, he did need to sell those bone density scanners, but at the same time, like, he had figured out a wedge of time enough to like get his foot in the door and do what was necessary to jumpstart that. I also felt it was shitty that it made it seem like Linda didn't believe in him, like that he could do that
She
when,
was a prick as well, her character. So many pricks
yeah.
in this movie.
Which I'm okay with women being the villain. She didn't have to be super supportive. But that wasn't real. That's not how, like, they're the
Okay, good. I'm
real.
glad it wasn't real. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the real mom, like, definitely took Christopher at points when Chris couldn't, like, get stuff together or make ends meet. I'm not saying that they didn't struggle together either. Like, Chris and Christopher, like, all of that's fake. But, like, to just paint her as, like, being like, I'm done. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
She did at a moment be like, well, I'm his mom. He should go with me. But he's very adamant about him staying with her. But I think the age of the real Christopher, like, being 14 months, like,
Yeah.
of course, like, the mom was probably still somewhat
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically that's my gripe with this movie. It's capitalism and the affluent white people who are just like, oh, and that one prick who's like, oh, move my car, get me donuts, all that.
That's the
Homer
Homer.
Simpson.
Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
But in real life, Chris Gardner said that he's really good friends with the guy who was actually like that to him. And I guess that
Oh.
was his way of testing him, because he was like, I knew you were the guy. I just
Even
had
so,
to.
I hate that mentality of like, okay, so what? I have to be a dick to you for you to earn
Yeah.
my respect and trust.
Rude.
Yeah. I
That
guess
and to be persistent, I guess.
I suppose that as well, but I think that's also is maybe that I just feel like that's a stereotype with like the stocks in Wall Street, that everyone
Yeah.
it's just this like true dog eat dog It's not as over the top as Wolf of Wall Street was, but in some ways, like when they were walking through the like building and everyone's screaming on the phone and it's all kind of loud and chaotic. I've never stepped foot in a firm like that, but stockbrokers, if anyone listens, write to us at loyalotes@gmail.com and please let us know, is it true? Is The Office really like that?
Yeah, I couldn't do that job. Ferrari be damned. Like I'm not trying to gamble with people's life savings and money. Like,
Yeah.
so no thank you. Anything else?
I have a question, and I know, we're going to be closing in on time, but so this movie was only Academy Award nominated for Best Actor, which was Will Smith. And Will Smith was up against Leonardo DiCaprio in Blood Diamond, Ryan Gosling and Half Nelson, Peter O'Toole in Venus, but ultimately lost to Forrest Whitaker, who played in The Last King of Scotland. Do you think that this movie could have also been in the running to be a contender to be at least like director or film writing?
Definitely.
Like this was the only award nomination. Now I know we have a whole shit list on the Academy in general, but I was surprised that was the only nomination.
Yeah. Shaleena, what do you think?
Oh, definitely for writing, for sure. And what was the other one? Producer? No, director.
Like probably director, like best director, best
Yeah.
film. Hell, I thought Jaden probably he could have been nominated. Like,
Yeah.
it was a very strong performance.
Yeah.
I think definitely director. Watching like the behind the scenes thing where Gabriel Moschino talks about like the making of the movie alongside Will, how Will picked him. And by the way, he's an Italian director who barely spoke English, so like the language barrier was very interesting to hear him like talk about it, or see him try to direct things and not quite know like what to say, or just gesticulating a lot and trying to. And he praised working with Will, but I think that's too like part of what lends to like the force pumps a butter of this movie is like the directing and the way things were told. Like he's a really good like emotional storyteller. Because like thinking about like the directing in Ali, or Robert Redford with Legend of Bagger Vance, like this movie definitely had like this good undertone throughout of the movie, and there wasn't anything I felt that was like directorial, like over the top or too much. And the budget of this movie, he talked about like, usually for like the running through the street scenes and stuff, you would have like a street with period cards, and that's it. They shut down like 4 blocks of San Francisco's like market district.
That's not easy.
Yeah, and lined it with period correct cars and stuff. I always wonder about that stuff because I'm like, how do they find all these old ass cars and like get them all in place and like make it all like look appropriate? But yeah, that's not easy, and commanding a set of that size for the first time and doing that, like I just think he's probably like really underrated and under the radar. I'm curious if he's done anything as big since. Oh, he directed 7 Pounds, so we'll get to talk about him again.
Okay.
Nice.
He did Fathers and Daughters with Amanda Seyfried and Russell Crowe, but yeah, he's just not someone like that you know of by name necessarily off the top, but I definitely think he deserves that. Like
at least a nomination. Martin Scorsese won Best Director that year anyways for The Departed, which that would have been really difficult to go up against. It did win for like as a film, it did win an NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Motion Picture.
This is why we have our own award shows.
And it did win a Teen Choice Award for like Best Drama, and then Chemistry, Jaden and Will Smith all won,
Nice.
like together as like best on-screen chemistry, which that makes sense. But
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I feel like there was some more Oscar snubs in this. It was a little
Yeah.
bothersome to me.
Anything we would change about this? I highly doubt we'll get a sequel. Although I was thinking it would be cool if Christopher actually turned out to be a basketball player. But I know that the real Christopher Jr. didn't. So, but a hell of a origin story, so to speak.
Yeah.
But anything change or?
Yeah, I guess maybe just having the mom be more a part of it and seeing a dynamic of an entire family unit struggle together with homelessness and trying to keep their heads above water might have added a little bit more depth to the movie. Or just another, female perspective too of like a caretaker, would she have to quit her job to like watch Christopher full time, or could Christopher still go to daycare and then she could still be pulling double shifts? I mean, I don't know. I think that would have been interesting if they had kept that part in.
Shaleena?
Yeah, for me, I can't think of anything they could change, but what would be cool is if, like in recent times, if they did like a documentary style version, like with him, like interviewing the real Christopher, the real son, the wife, and the worker, like his boss and everything.
Yeah.
Like a Netflix, I don't know, special or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
And this is more so because like Thandie Newton kind of like iffy these days, but I would be curious if they replaced her with somebody, what that would look like. Cause like I think she was good, but I don't know. I was just like, what if we got like a Viola Davis or Angela Bassett, or hell, bring Regina King back, like in this role, and I would like to see the success story of Chris Gardner. Like this is very the rags to riches, but I would like to see like what it was like for when we in this when he gets like the starter job, but he goes on to have his own firm and brokerage and is super successful and winds up selling that for like multi-million dollars. Like what does that journey look like? Okay, we got the job. Now how do we achieve all of the things that he was able to achieve?
I want to know what nice house he bought in San Francisco, or did he move out of the city? Did he get a Ferrari?
Yeah, and like I don't want to shit on this movie because I think it's a great movie. I wouldn't give it 4 pumps of butter just to like be copacetic. Like I do think it's awesome, but it goes to that territory of like we're so used to seeing Black stories that are about like struggle and strife, but this is an actual success story, and it would be great to actually see a successful Black stockbroker in a movie. Like, what does that look like? I don't know what that looks like. I know Don Cheadle has the TV series Black Monday, which is like a 80s period piece with him and Regina Hall, but it's like very like kind of campy. But this would be dope to touch on that part of his life and success instead of just the homelessness. And two, I agree with the documentary because Chris Gardner has like very interesting origins, like his parents and growing up as well, which we didn't get to see in this movie. So I don't know. I just think there's more to Chris Gardner that could be told somehow, whether that's a documentary or another movie or a TV series or docu-series. I don't know, but it's definitely, I think, worth revisiting in some capacity.
Yeah.
And what else? Snack, cocktail?
I'm going like Candlestick Fair food, man. Something about watching a football game at Candlestick, so that stadium's no longer there. Now, it hadn't been used for quite some time. I remember once I did a like 5K color run in like the back parking lot, like where we ran around Candlestick. There was like broken glass everywhere. It was like not the best place to do a race, but if I'm not going like San Francisco, Chinatown, like maybe something good over there. I was just thinking like a Candlestick beer and a hot dog.
All right, Shaleena?
not sure. This is sorry. This is the part where you pick like just a random
Like,
fact that
and
goes
it
with
doesn't
the
have to be
movie.
super structured because I'm terrible,
Oh,
but like sometimes if they ate something in the movie and you're like, absolutely, that burger looked amazing.
oh,
Make
okay,
me a
okay.
homemade burger to go with this movie, and like a drink that you feel like fits the theme of the movie or just like accompanies the movie
Okay.
well, or
That macaroni and cheese, like a dairy-free macaroni and cheese.
oh,
I
Hmm.
would say. And I don't drink alcohol, but I love tea. So
ooh, yes, like
I don't
maybe
know
a
if
Yeah,
nice
tea goes with
green
macaroni and cheese, but
Chinatown.
there you go.
yep.
That's when I fell in love with tea, was like after Chinese food, like getting a
Mm,
little green tea at the
Yeah,
end. Like,
yes.
did you? Oh, you said a beer with the
I did.
candlestick
I did.
food. I just actually made some homemade burgers this week. So when
Nice.
he made that burger for them, I was just like,
Nice.
oh, damn, deja vu. So I guess I'll go with that. And drink wise, I feel like the stockbroker of it all feels like a very like either like a neat like whiskey or something,
Mm-hmm.
or with like those marble like cold stones in them,
Yes.
or ooh, but with that, like I deserve like a really nice ass steak. I feel like
Yeah, why
steak and
not?
lobster. I don't know. So it depends if we're going like down on my luck, not to struggle meals, going homemade cheeseburger
Hmm.
and probably like some Kool-Aid. Cause oh, too, did you see Linda's Thandie Newton's character when they finished
Oh,
dinner? She
yes.
poured their like
Iced tea.
juice back in the tea thing or
Hmm.
whatever.
Oh yeah, the little
I
picture.
Yeah, it's like that is like some real like low income. Like you got it. Hey, we ain't wasting this.
Mhm.
So something like that. Or if I'm already successful stockbroker at Dean Witta, I'm going steak and very expensive like cognac or something. I don't know.
I love it.
Okay.
I was just thinking, I feel like a good drink to go with this movie is water for all that running.
Oh.
A little Gatorade.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Something
good one.
to, yes.
Maybe milk for the bone density machine.
A calcium rich drink. Yes.
Except it seems like you're lactose intolerant,
Yeah,
or
I slightly, yeah, and I'm also a vegan, so I don't drink
okay.
or eat dairy. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah,
so
dairy will
maybe not
mess
for
up.
Shaleena. Maybe some almond milk or something.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes.
All right. Well, Shaleena, tell the people where they can follow you and get your content, what you got coming up next. I
Yes.
know your 90s versus 2000 series is over. The 90s won. Mm.
Yes, they did
Um,
win, but I came back and won for 2000s for the music collab.
I did
Ew.
see that. But yeah, what do you got going on, and where can the people find you on social media?
So at the time of recording this, this week I'm going to be releasing my episode on the Destiny's Child deep dive that I did for the past month. I like just been studying their beginnings, their
And you
beginning
haven't listened to
days.
Beyonce after that? That's
No,
like
I
the
have
next
not.
step. That's how I became a
The
Beyonce fan.
progression.
Yeah.
No, like I said, I don't know. I just never gravitated towards her for some reason. No, nothing against her, just so yeah, I'm excited to release that. And yeah, that's as far as my planning for episodes have gone. And
Cool.
for those of you that are interested, my podcast can be found on Spotify, Google Pods, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods. Just search everything 90s podcast, and it's the numerical 90 with an S. And on Instagram, my handle is everything 90s podcast. And I joined Twitter, but everything 90s was taken because I took so long to come on. So it's everything 90 pod. It sounds really bad,
Oh, I
but
mean, roll call was taken on Twitter. That's why we put the pod.
oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but mine doesn't make sense because it's everything 90. Like what is that? Until I come up
Hey.
with a more creative one, that's my handle on Twitter.
Yeah, you could maybe like, I don't know if you feel comfortable doing that, but like include your name or something. Because I know sometimes like podcasts, they'll have like the hosts will have like their podcast handle where it's like Simone at roll call or Simone _ roll call or whatever to differentiate from their personal. Anyways, but you also just got TikTok, right? It's the same.
Yes, I joined TikTok as well.
Good luck.
Yeah, I haven't been. Thanks. Instagram I haven't been a fan of Instagram lately with reaches and how their algorithm is. So I'm like, let me try other platforms and see what connect with other 90s kids on other platforms.
Oh, there's plenty on TikTok, so
Yay!
I hope you make
Good.
friends and connections.
Thank you.
TikTok just it's daunting to me sometimes.
It is daunting, yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you again for guesting with us.
So glad
Thank you for the invite.
Yes, have to have you next year with whoever Simone chooses. Thank you for listening to this week's episode, and to the people who stuck with us so far, please come back for another episode of the Dean Witter version of Inside the Actor Studio.
But seriously, if you like us enough to stick around, park your Ferraris, but don't ask me to do it for you, and take another deep dive down this IMDb rabbit hole with us.
Yes, and on that note, if you've got nothing better to do, go figure out a theme to watch a bunch of movies you've never seen.
I'm Simone. Please subscribe to This Blessed Mess. We're not going to give you cold calls and ask you to do it. So you got to just hit that subscribe, please. And like us. Leave us a like, please, if you are into it.
And I'm your host, Bria, and it would be awesome for you to wipe off those buttery popcorn fingers, shimmy up that call list, and give us a review. Follow us at Roll Call Pod on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and my hate it or love it Twitter. All right. And this has been another episode of
Roll Call and Cut.